Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for watching my videos. If you are finding these videos to be of benefit, if they have affected you, if anything in here has affected you positively or made you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or made you stronger in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then do something and share this video. Share this far and wide, and you will get reward for it if someone else also benefits from it in the way that you have benefited from it. If they change their life around as a result of watching this video, then you will also get the reward for whatever good deeds that they do. Today's story is one of, I would say it's up there in one of the most incredible, I say story, but it's actually a witness account that I've ever heard. If you've been watching my videos, you would have heard accounts of angels or of smells and people having this sense or feeling angels, or they're smelling perfume, which indicates that angels have been there. This story, it involves not just scent, but it involves another of the five senses: hearing and seeing and smelling and whatever. There was a man by the name of Abu al-Mundhir al-Sharif. Al-Sharif means he was a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Makkah. You know, we have this term where people add this term sometimes called Sayyid at the front of their names, and that shows that they're from the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, in Pakistan there's about 100 million people with the name Sayyid, and in South Asia it's a very, very common name. Allah knows best whether those people are Sayyids or not, but this is someone who can trace his family's lineage directly to the family of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was from Makkah, he's an Arab, he's from his descendants from the people of Quraysh, and for 1400 years his family have lived in Makkah. So this young man, Abu al-Mundhir, I don't know, that's not his real name, but this was his kunya, Abu al-Mundhir al-Sharif. He grew up, and as a young man he was far from Islam. He was far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He used to drink alcohol. You know, that's how in Makkah he would drink alcohol. That's how far he was from the deen. But after his parents passed away, he had 5 younger siblings, and so the responsibility, being the eldest, the responsibility fell on him in order to take care of his younger siblings. This story is being told to me by someone who knew him personally. So 2 people who knew him personally, they told me this story. So this is not something that I heard on TikTok or read in some book or something. This person who's telling me the story, he knew him and his background, his story personally. So in 1987, one of his younger brothers, he went to join the jihad against the Soviets in Afghanistan, and he went without seeking the permission of Abu al-Mundhir. So when Abu al-Mundhir found out that his younger brother had gone, he was furious, and he sent letters and he tried to send messages to try and get his younger brother to come back, but his younger brother was not coming back, so he had no choice except to go there himself. So he went there with the intention of bringing his brother back from Afghanistan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a different plan for him. He said, when I entered this land, he said something like, I had this feeling in my heart, something stuck in my heart that there is something good is going to happen for me in this land. So he went there, and as a result, while he was waiting, to cut a long story short, he actually then joined the Mujahideen who were fighting the Soviets. So eventually, within a couple of years, he became the commander of the Mujahideen in the Kandahar region in southern Afghanistan, where some of the most fiercest fighting was taking place against the Russians. All the Afghans, they used to love this man, and they used to, and especially because he was one of the descendants of the Prophet ﷺ, so some of the Arabs used to tease him, and they used to call him the Mahdi. And whenever they would win a battle, they'll say, it's because we had the Mahdi, because we had you on our side, and you're one of the, descendants of the Prophet ﷺ, and he wouldn't like it. They would tease him like that. Anyway, so one particular day in the summer of 1990, the Russians had withdrawn, the Soviets had withdrawn from Afghanistan a year earlier, and the proxy communist government was now trying to fight against the Mujahideen. So this brother, his name's Abu Muhammad, and he told me, he said, I came back on my motorbike and I shouted Abu al-Munthir's name, and he was sitting on the first floor of a small house, and just then a 120mm mortar came and it landed right there in the house. There was an explosion, and we ran to see where Abu al-Munthir was, and we found that he had been severely injured, and like half basically his stomach and intestines was all spilling out. So then straight away they put him into a van and they said, let's drive him across the border to Pakistan for him to seek medical assistance in Quetta, and because his injuries were too severe, like there was no one there that could deal with these injuries, so they said we have to take him across the border to Pakistan in order to have his injuries seen to. So there were 3 brothers in that van, all of them from Makkah. One was the driver was the man by the name of Julaybib from Makkah. Then there was another sheikh, and his name was Abu Ahmad, he's also from Makkah. And then there was Abu al-Munthir, who was lying in the back in a very severely injured state. So Abu Ahmad told me the story. So he's one of the people in this van. I don't know who else he's told this story to, and he told me this story like in the 1990s, like more than 25 years ago. He told me this story, but it stuck with me. He said, I was in the back of the van and Julaybib was driving, and Julaybib was driving with the lights off, because if we turned the lights on we may have been attacked by the enemy. And it's a very bumpy road from, I don't know how long that road is, like maybe like a few hours, and I think 6 hours or something. He said we were driving, and Abu al-Munthir would slip in and out of consciousness. Whenever he would wake up, he would start saying like, I love Allah, I love Allah, I want to go to Allah, I want to meet Allah, I'm fed up of this dunya, I'm tired of this dunya. And Abu Ahmad said, I would be encouraging him, saying to him that, look, you've just got a light injury and you are our commander, and we're going to go to Pakistan, we're going to go to Quetta, we're going to get your injury sorted, and then you can come back and everything will be okay. And he kept saying to me that, no, he said, no, Abu Ahmad, he said, I don't want to stay in this dunya anymore. I want to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyway, so Abu Ahmad then said that I was sort of dozing in and out of sleep because I was tired. And then Julaybib, he described, the driver who was still awake, he describes what happened next. He said both Abu Ahmad and Abu al-Munthir went to sleep. He said all of a sudden, he said the back of the van, it filled with perfume. It filled with perfume, and I heard a sound which was like the humming of bees and the chirping of birds. In the middle of the night, a lone van is driving in a desert far from civilization with the lights off, and inside this van, the whole van is filled with a beautiful smell of perfume, and he can actually hear the humming of bees and the chirping of birds. He said at that moment, Abu al-Munthir then loudly began to say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. He began to say that, and he was saying it so loudly that even Abu Ahmad woke up. And Abu Ahmad also, he smelled that smell and he heard that sound, and he described that to me directly. He described to me directly, said, Allah is my witness. This is the smell that I smell, and this was the sound that was coming. And then at that point, his soul, it left its body, and he departed from this world, and they buried him in a border town on the border of inside Afghanistan, on the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan. Let me ask you a question. Why are you watching this video? You know that it's part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan that you watch this video and you listen to these words that I'm telling you right now. It's not a coincidence. As you've heard this story that I've just told you, what are you feeling in your heart? What is the message that Allah is giving to you? The personal message that Allah is giving to you in your life. after you've heard this story, where someone has told me they have not just only smelt the presence of angels, they've actually heard them. The Prophet ﷺ, he described in a hadith, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in a hadith that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees an order, the angels flap their wings in submission to his speech, which sounds like chains being dragged over rocks. So when Allah has given a command, the angels, they flap their wings, they make sounds. And when they come down, and that was, Allah knows best, but that humming of bees and that chirping of birds, these were angels that had come down to that van, to that lone van, in order to take the soul of this man. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon him. It is not a coincidence that you are listening to this story, that you are listening to my words. When I was preparing what stories to share for this series, and I was writing up notes, for some reason this story came to my mind. Out of all the stories that I could have shared, this story came to my mind. And even though it happened 25 years ago, it touched me deeply. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's like story by story, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's revealing more of the unseen to us by peeling away the layers of not just the layer of scent, but in this case even the layer of sound. Where even this man, he heard the angels, he heard the sound of the angels talking. And this didn't happen centuries ago. This happened in 1990s, like 34 years ago that this happened. So stop for a moment just now and ask yourself, what are you feeling in your heart when you've just heard me recite this story? What is the personal message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to give you? What is that feeling? What does He want you to get from this? Whatever you're going through in your particular life, why, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's many people who could have listened to this and watched this video. Many have received it. Many are aware of it. But they haven't watched it. You're watching it. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants good for you. And there's some benefit that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for you as a result of you listening to these words and watching this video. This was today's story. Until tomorrow, if you enjoyed this story, please press like, subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications bell, and share this content far and wide so that the entire world may know that once there was a man by the name of Abul Munthir al-Sharif, and he was from the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was killed in the summer of 1990 in Afghanistan. And when the angels took his soul, the brothers present there, they smelt the presence of angels and they heard their sounds as well, which was like the humming of bees and the chirping of birds. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.